Elon Musk's Mars dream could get boost from Trump victory. Date: January 20, 2025. In the wake of Donald Trump's recent electoral victory, there is a renewed optimism surrounding Elon Musk's ambitious plans for Mars exploration. Analysts and insiders predict that a Trump administration will prioritize Mars missions, potentially reshaping NASA's current focus on the Moon through the Artemis program into a more Mars-centric approach. Key developments. 1. Shift in national priorities. With Trump's return to the presidency, sources indicate that human exploration of Mars will become a significant national objective. Previously, NASA's Artemis program aimed to land humans on the Moon as a precursor to Mars missions, but under Trump, there could be a shift towards prioritizing Mars directly. This indicates a strategic pivot that could see uncrewed missions to Mars occurring within the decade. 2. Musk's support for Trump. Musk has been a vocal supporter of Trump, notably participating in rallies and contributing substantial financial support, reportedly around $119 million, to Trump's campaign. His involvement has elevated the discourse around space policy during a critical transition period for the administration, with Musk even donning an Occupy Mars t-shirt at a Trump rally. 3. Future of the Artemis program. Trump originally launched the Artemis program in 2019 with the aim of returning humans to the Moon. While this initiative has continued under President Biden, Trump's advisors are advocating for a revamp of the program, arguing that it has stagnated. They foresee a reallocation of resources towards Mars exploration, potentially sidelining lunar missions. For regulatory changes, Musk's administration is likely to pursue deregulation in the space sector, which could ease the current restrictions imposed by the Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) on commercial space launches. This shift is expected to accelerate the development of SpaceX's Starship, the spacecraft Musk hopes to use to transport humans to Mars. 5. A budget in contracting. The Trump administration may favor fixed-price contracts for space projects, which would transfer more of the financial risk onto private companies like SpaceX. This approach could help mitigate budget overruns that have plagued NASA's current endeavors, especially concerning the Space Launch System (SLS), NASA's only existing rocket, which has faced significant cost overruns. 6. Musk's vision for Mars. Musk has set an ambitious timeline, aspiring to send a Starship to Mars by 2026, with a crewed mission to follow within 4 years. However, industry experts express skepticism about the feasibility of this timeline, especially regarding manned missions, which they believe will take longer to achieve. Diverging perspectives. While many sources celebrate the potential for a Trump presidency to invigorate Musk's Mars ambitions, others remain cautious. Some analysts highlight the uncertainty surrounding the implementation of new policies, noting that while there may be a heightened focus on Mars, the practicalities of achieving Musk's vision within the proposed timelines are still in doubt. Historical context. 2019, Trump initiates the Artemis program aiming to land humans on the Moon. 2020, Musk publicly supports Trump, significantly contributing to his campaign. 2023, Trump is re-elected, prompting speculation about a shift in space policy towards Mars. 2026, Musk aims to land Starship on Mars, with crewed missions planned shortly thereafter. Conclusion. The intersection of Elon Musk's aspirations for interplanetary travel and Donald Trump's political resurgence presents an intriguing scenario for the future of space exploration. With the potential for significant shifts in NASA's priorities and the regulatory environment conducive to commercial space operations, the coming years could be pivotal for the realization of Musk's Mars vision. However, as stakeholders navigate the complexities of space policy and technological challenges, the timeline and feasibility of these ambitious plans remain to be seen. Elon Musk's aspirations for Mars could receive a significant boost if Donald Trump were to win the presidential election, as various media outlets have reported. Here are some key points regarding this development. 1. Shift in space policy. If Trump is re-elected, Mars exploration is poised to become a national priority, which would dramatically affect NASA's Artemis program. Originally focused on lunar missions using SpaceX's Starship rocket, the program may pivot toward Mars-related objectives. 2. Musk's engagement. Musk has actively supported Trump, including substantial financial contributions to his campaign. His involvement and advocacy for space exploration could influence the administration's policies to favor commercial space endeavors. 3. Future of the Artemis program. The Artemis program, initiated by Trump in 2019, could be restructured to better align with Mars exploration. Advisors from Trump's previous administration suggest that the program hasn't progressed sufficiently and could benefit from a renewed focus on Mars. For regulatory changes, Musk's aim to reduce governmental regulations may lead to changes in how the Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) oversees commercial space launches, potentially expediting SpaceX's development of the Starship. 5. Contracting and budgeting. Under a Trump administration, there may be a shift towards fixed-price contracts for space projects, transferring more risk and responsibility to private companies. This could reduce budget overruns associated with NASA's existing programs, particularly the Space Launch System (SLS). 6. Musk's timeline for Mars. Musk has expressed ambitions to land Starship on Mars by 2026, with crewed missions to follow. However, experts in the field are skeptical about this timeline, suggesting that while a one-way mission to Mars might be achievable, a manned mission would require more time and preparation. Counterintuitive observations. Ambition versus reality. While Musk's timeline for Mars missions is ambitious, many experts see it as unrealistic, highlighting a stark contrast between Musk's optimistic projections and the more cautious assessments from industry professionals. This indicates a broader tension in the space exploration narrative, where visionary goals clash with practical limitations. Impact of political change. The assumption that Trump's election would directly enhance Mars exploration overlooks the inherent complexities and uncertainties of policy implementation, suggesting an oversimplified correlation between political leadership and space exploration progress. Deregulation risks. The push for deregulation, while intended to facilitate faster development, may also introduce risks related to safety and oversight in commercial spaceflight, an aspect that could be overlooked in the enthusiasm for rapid progress. Dependency on private sector. The potential shift to fixed-price contracts may seem beneficial, but it also raises concerns about increased reliance on private companies, particularly SpaceX, which could lead to monopolistic behaviors and less competition in the long term. Elon Musk's aspirations for Mars colonization could see renewed vigor following Donald Trump's victory, as various reports suggest a potential shift in U.S. space policy under the Trump administration. Here are several critical points that may not receive the attention they deserve but are significant in understanding the broader implications of this political change for space exploration. 1. Shift in national priorities. One of the most significant yet understated aspects of Trump's potential return to office is the prioritization of Mars exploration over lunar missions. While the Artemis program, which aims to return humans to the moon, is designed as a stepping stone for future Mars missions, sources suggest that under Trump, NASA's focus may shift more directly to Mars. This transition signifies not just a change in mission objectives but also a potential reallocation of resources and funding that could favor Mars over lunar endeavors. The implications of this shift could redefine U.S. space exploration goals, emphasizing the long-term vision of human settlement on Mars. 2. Commercial space policy and regulatory environment. Musk's advocacy for reduced government regulation is poised to impact the Federal Aviation Administration's FAA oversight of commercial space launches. This is a critical point often overlooked. The reduction of bureaucratic hurdles could dramatically accelerate SpaceX's development of the Starship rocket. The potential for regulatory reforms may enable faster testing and deployment of new technologies, which is essential for meeting Musk's ambitious timelines for Mars missions. The significance here lies in the intersection of policy and innovation. A supportive regulatory environment may be the catalyst that allows private companies to push the boundaries of what is technologically possible in space travel. 3. Budgetary implications in contract structures. The anticipated preference for fixed-price contracts could shift the risk burden onto private companies like SpaceX, potentially changing the financial landscape of NASA's missions. This approach may streamline costs and promote efficiency but could also lead to increased pressure on private contractors to deliver on time and within budget. The implications of this shift warrant attention as they could affect the viability of ongoing projects, particularly those involving the Space Launch System (SLS), which has faced scrutiny over its cost overruns and delays. The cancellation or downsizing of the SLS could have far-reaching effects on the aerospace industry and U.S. reliance on SpaceX for heavy launch capabilities. For Musk's timeline for Mars missions, Musk's assertion that SpaceX could land a Starship on Mars by 2026 followed by a crewed mission within 4 years is a bold claim that many experts view with skepticism. The timeline is ambitious, and this aspect often gets lost in the excitement surrounding Musk's vision for Mars. Recognizing the challenges inherent in such a timeline, including technological, logistical, and safety considerations, is crucial for grounding public expectations. The significance here lies in the need for realistic assessments of capabilities and timelines in the context of space exploration, as overly optimistic projections can lead to disillusionment and misallocation of resources. 5. Political dynamics and space exploration. The interplay between Musk's political support for Trump and Trump's space policy ambitions highlights a broader trend in how political dynamics can shape scientific and exploratory endeavors. The emphasis on a Mars mission as a national priority may not only affect funding and policy but could also inspire a renewed interest in STEM fields and public engagement with space exploration. This relationship between politics and space endeavors is significant as it underscores the role of leadership in driving innovation and national goals, revealing how personal ambitions of influential figures like Musk can intersect with governmental priorities. 6. Long-term vision versus immediate challenges. While the focus on Mars exploration is enticing, it is essential to balance this vision with the immediate challenges posed by lunar missions and international competition in space. The significance of maintaining a dual focus on both the Moon and Mars cannot be overstated. Neglecting the Moon could hinder the development of necessary technologies and practices for long-duration space travel needed for Mars missions. The potential for international collaboration or competition in lunar exploration could also set the stage for future endeavors on Mars, making it vital to consider how these missions interconnect. In summary, while the prospect of a renewed focus on Mars under a Trump administration presents exciting possibilities for Musk and SpaceX, it is essential to critically examine the broader implications of such a shift. From regulatory changes to budgetary structures, the interplay of these factors will significantly influence the trajectory of U.S. space exploration in the coming years. Understanding these nuances is crucial for comprehending how political changes can impact scientific ambitions and the future of human presence on Mars. 1. Trump administration's space policy shift. The anticipated victory of Donald Trump is expected to lead to a significant shift in U.S. space policy with a focus on Mars exploration. Under Trump's leadership, Mars missions could become a national priority, potentially altering NASA's Artemis program, which was initially designed to facilitate lunar exploration as a precursor to Mars missions. Trump's administration may prioritize uncrewed Mars missions within the decade, indicating a move away from lunar objectives. 2. Elon Musk's influence and investments. Elon Musk's strong support for Trump, evidenced by substantial financial contributions to his campaign and public endorsements, positions him as a key ally in shaping future space policies. Musk's active involvement could encourage the Trump administration to adopt more favorable regulatory approaches for commercial space ventures, enhancing the prospects for SpaceX's ambitious timelines for Mars exploration. 3. Regulatory environment and contracting framework. The Trump administration may implement a regulatory environment that favors less oversight from the FAA, potentially expediting SpaceX's Starship development. Additionally, a shift toward fixed-price contracts could transfer more responsibility to private companies like SpaceX while reducing budget overruns associated with NASA's traditional contracting methods. This could lead to changes in the Artemis program and the fate of the Space Launch System (SLS), which has faced criticism for its cost overruns. 4. Feasibility of Mars missions. While Musk has set ambitious goals for landing Starship on Mars by 2026 and conducting crewed missions shortly thereafter, industry experts remain skeptical about these timelines. While a one-way mission may be feasible within the timeframe, the complexity and challenges of crewed missions necessitate a more cautious approach. The differing opinions surrounding Musk's timelines underscore the uncertainties inherent in space exploration, especially under a potentially shifting policy landscape. 1. John F. Kennedy's Moon Speech 1961. President John F. Kennedy's famous address to Congress on May 25, 1961 set the ambitious goal of landing a man on the moon before the end of the decade. This announcement marked a significant shift in U.S. space policy, emphasizing the importance of space exploration during the Cold War. Kennedy's commitment galvanized NASA and laid the groundwork for the Apollo program, ultimately leading to the successful Apollo 11 mission in 1969, where Neil Armstrong became the first human to set foot on the lunar surface. 2. The Space Race 1957 to 1975. The space race was a period of intense competition between the United States and the Soviet Union, driven by the desire to achieve significant milestones in space exploration. Following the Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik in 1957, both nations accelerated their space programs. The U.S. response included increased funding for NASA and the eventual success of the Apollo program, which not only achieved lunar landings but also transformed national priorities around science, technology, and education. The political implications of the space race influenced international relations and domestic policies for years. 3. The Apollo 1 tragedy 1967. The Apollo 1 mission, initially designated AS-204, was intended to be the first crewed flight of the Apollo program. Tragically, during a pre-launch test on January 27, 1967, a cabin fire claimed the lives of astronauts Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger B. Chaffee. This event led to a major re-evaluation of safety protocols and engineering practices within NASA, ultimately influencing subsequent missions. The tragedy underscored the risks associated with space exploration and prompted reforms that contributed to the eventual success of the Apollo lunar landings. The potential for Elon Musk's dream of colonizing Mars to gain momentum under a Trump administration presents intriguing possibilities for the future of space exploration. This outlook is shaped by several key factors that could influence both policy and technological advancements in the coming years. 1. Shift in space policy. With Trump's return to the presidency, many expect a significant pivot in U.S. space policy toward prioritizing Mars exploration. Historically, NASA's Artemis program, which aims to return humans to the Moon as a precursor to Mars missions, may be restructured to focus more directly on the Red Planet. This shift could accelerate timelines for uncrewed missions to Mars within the decade, providing a testing ground for future crewed missions. 2. Increased support for commercial space ventures. Elon Musk's SpaceX could benefit substantially from a Trump presidency due to the former president's favorable stance on deregulation and commercial space initiatives. Trump's administration may lean toward fixed-price contracts that incentivize private companies to take on more risk and responsibility, which could streamline operations and reduce bureaucratic delays. This environment might enhance SpaceX's ability to innovate and expedite the development of its Starship rocket. 3. Funding and budget allocation. Trump's administration is expected to bolster budgets for space exploration, particularly those aligned with commercial interests. By reducing reliance on traditional government-led projects like NASA's Space Launch System (SLS), which has faced significant cost overruns, the administration could redirect funds toward more efficient private sector partnerships. This could not only benefit SpaceX but also foster a competitive landscape for other private aerospace companies. 4. Accelerated development timelines. Musk has set ambitious goals for SpaceX, including landing a Starship on Mars by 2026 and following up with a crewed mission shortly thereafter. While experts express skepticism about the feasibility of these timelines, the potential for a supportive political environment could catalyze efforts to achieve these milestones. The push from the government could provide the necessary resources and regulatory support to make rapid advancements possible. 5. Broader implications for space exploration. A focus on Mars under Trump's administration could redefine U.S. leadership in global space exploration. By prioritizing Mars, the U.S. could potentially outpace other nations in terms of technological development and space colonization efforts. This could foster international partnerships or competition, shaping the future of space exploration on a global scale. 6. Potential risks and challenges. While optimism abounds regarding the potential for Mars exploration under Trump, challenges remain. Technical hurdles, budget constraints, and the inherent risks of space travel could hinder progress. Additionally, the ambitious timeline set by Musk may not align with the reality of technological development, leading to potential public disappointment if milestones are not met. Conclusion. The intersection of Elon Musk's vision for Mars colonization and a Trump presidency presents a unique opportunity for the future of space exploration. With a potential shift toward prioritizing Mars, increased support for commercial ventures, and a reallocation of funds, the coming years could witness significant advancements in humanity's quest to reach and inhabit other planets. However, the challenges inherent in such ambitious goals must be navigated carefully to ensure sustained progress and public support for the journey ahead.